What's up guys, Mike here, and today we have a pretty cool video because we're going to be talking about a bunch of guys that I don't think a lot of you will know. These are 4 players that could have been potential NBA All-Stars or NBA Superstars, but things didn't exactly work out and they ended up getting banned from the NBA. So I think you understand the topic here. We can just jump into this video with number 4, Richard Dumas. Richard Dumas had the chance to be a classic story of overcoming every obstacle thrown at you and still achieving your dreams. As there was a time that Spurs coach John Lucas actually said Richard Dumas is Dr. J with a jump shot, a lock for the 1996 Dream Team. As we know now, one of those players is an all-time NBA Hall of Famer and the other blew away all his money and was arrested for theft in 2014. Yes, unfortunately this is not a happy story as the life of Richard Dumas can only be seen as tragic. Since the age of 12, Dumas had a severe drug and alcohol problem, and according to his coach Paul Westphal, the problem was so bad that from junior high on, I don't think Richard ever played a game where he wasn't under the influence of something. He thought playing high made him better and that he couldn't play unless he used something, which makes Richard's short-lived NBA career actually kind of amazing. Drug problems are obviously no joke, and unfortunately that was something that Dumas was never able to kick. But with that said, even with these problems, there were times where Richard Dumas really did look like he would emerge as one of the best players in the NBA. It's been said that the Pistons were willing to trade Dennis Rodman for him. He was called unstoppable and amazing by Charles Barkley. As a second-round pick due to his drug problems, he averaged 15.8 points and 4.6 rebounds for a loaded Phoenix Suns team that would eventually reach the NBA Finals. And in those finals, Dumas showed the world he had what it takes to grow into an NBA superstar as he scored 25 points and shot 12 for 14 from the field against Scottie Pippen and the Chicago Bulls in Game 5 of the 1996 Finals. That's what makes this just so amazing and very tragic here. Richard Dumas struggled with drug addiction his entire life and was still this good. If you took that addiction out of the equation completely, there is a real chance that Richard Dumas would be in the Basketball Hall of Fame, and that is not an exaggeration at all. Unfortunately, the addiction would always be there as Dumas would be in rehab just 3 months after his explosion in the finals and would retire from the NBA at the age of 26. From there, as previously said, he blew all of his money and would eventually be arrested for theft, which to me shows just how scary addiction really is. Richard Dumas could have had it all, but his inner demons just wouldn't let him. Number 3, Rashad McCants. I really wanted to include Rashad McCants to this list just because of how strange his NBA career was. Unlike everyone else here, Rashad was not a drug user, was not involved in a gambling scandal, and clearly did have the talent to be an NBA player. In his 3rd season in the league, Rashad averaged 15 points per game as a 23-year-old and showed enough promise that a long NBA career should have been in the cards for him. But apparently, according to Rashad, he was practically forced to retire from the NBA the next year at the age of 24 because he was blackballed. Now, getting blackballed is not technically a ban, but basically it is because it means that every NBA general manager agrees that they will not sign a player for a specific reason. The reason for Rashad can be seen in 2 quotes. One from Kevin McHale that says, "He's a pure talent with a high basketball IQ. Beautiful stroke, great body, everything. His problem was giving himself up for the team." And another quote from Kevin Love that states, "In any line of work, you have to know how to talk to people and when to bite your tongue." Rashad has a me against the world attitude. You have to get past that if you want to help yourself. So we can see that the reason Rashad, a player who certainly had NBA talent, is not in the NBA today is because he was basically a locker room cancer. He was not a good teammate. His teammates and coaches did not like him, so nobody wanted to sign him. The funny thing about this though comes back to the me against the world attitude, because it's very clear that Rashad still lives life that way. He has made it clear to the media that he thinks it's Kevin McHale who got him blackballed and has said, when you average 15 points a game in your 3rd year, 10 points a game for your career, and you can't get a job, and you've never been in trouble, never gotten in any fights, there's something fishy there. He's also gone as far as to say that his relationship with Khloe Kardashian Kardashian ruined his career, saying, "Without that situation in play, I'm a $60 to $70 million player." Except, again, Kevin Love, his teammate, went on record saying negative things about him. So to me, this is just one of the weirder situations I've ever seen in the league, because if he was just a nicer guy, Rashad would be in the NBA right now and be a whole lot richer. Number 2, Connie Hawkins. Sometimes the smallest mistake can actually ruin a person's life. And in the case of Connie Hawkins, it's actually debatable if he even made a mistake. As growing up, Connie had an incredibly hard life. His mom was on welfare and blind, so basketball was really his only option to get out, which meant that as a kid, he worked at his game every chance he could and soon became an absolute legend at Rucker Park, and from there, a superstar high school player who once scored 60 points in a single game. It was clear that the sky was the limit for Connie at this point. He was seen as one of the best young basketball players in the country. This led to him choosing Iowa as the next step in his basketball career, but it was at Iowa that absolutely everything would go wrong. The reason for this was that during his freshman year, a huge point shaving scandal broke in college basketball. This scandal was serious, as 37 different players were arrested from 22 different colleges. And while Connie Hawkins was not arrested, it was said that he borrowed $200 from the lawyer at the center of the scandal, Jack Molinas. Now, it has since been said by everyone in the scandal that Hawkins was not sought upon to actually participate in the point shaving. He just borrowed money that he eventually paid back. What's more, Connie was a freshman that year, and at the time, the NCAA did not even allow freshmen to play in varsity basketball games. This meant that it was actually impossible for Connie to shave points, but the NCAA and Iowa just did not care at all. Connie was blackballed from the NCAA, and to make things even worse, then NBA Commissioner Walter Kennedy made it clear to teams that they were not to take Connie in the draft, because if they did, he would void Connie's contract. Again, this was a man who had absolutely nothing growing up, and after the smallest mistake, his future was now completely unclear. Connie Hawkins absolutely had the talent to be a star in college basketball and to become one of the best young players in the NBA. Now though, he was actually forced to sue the NBA for $6 million because he felt there was absolutely no evidence that could be used to back up his ban. While this case was going on, Connie also decided to join the ABA to show NBA teams what they were missing. In his first season, Connie led the ABA in scoring, was the ABA's MVP, and led his team to the ABA championship, showing just how dominant he was. It is because of this success that Connie's story became a nationally known thing, and after several media pieces placed pressure on the NBA's decision to ban him, the NBA finally gave in and let Connie play. Which means, unlike a lot of the stories in this video, Connie Hawkins' journey to the NBA would finish on a very positive note. The electrifying forward would become an all-star who averaged 25 points per game in his first NBA season as a 27-year-old rookie, and would eventually end his NBA career as a 4-time all-star and, more importantly, a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame. So again, happy story, but you have to wonder, what if Connie Hawkins didn't have to go through all of this? How great could he have possibly been? And number 1, Michael Ray Richardson. Now, starting this off, Michael Ray Richardson did have a pretty long and successful NBA career. He played in 8 seasons in the league and was actually a 4-time All-Star, which is obviously impressive. The problem though was that Michael Ray Richardson should have been a whole lot better, and again, the reason for this was drugs, specifically cocaine. To give you an idea of just how good a young Michael was, and I'm calling him Michael from now on because his name is just too long. As a second-year player in the league for the Knicks, he was an NBA All-Star who averaged 15.3 points, 10.1 assists, and 3.2 steals. With those numbers, he became the first player in NBA history to ever lead the league in both assists and steals in the same season. What's more, let's listen to some quotes from NBA legends on Mike. Michael Ray was a guy who played just like I played, Magic Johnson once said. Every time I saw him, he went right at me, and Michael would always talk trash to the whole game. As for Larry Bird, he apparently once called Michael the best player on the entire planet, and in a documentary titled What Happened to Michael Ray Richardson, Peter Vest Messi was quoted as saying, "Isaiah Thomas, to this day, tells me the one guy he was scared of was Richardson." That's how good this man was. He was a 6'5" point guard and could do it all in a time where that was very rare. But again, enter cocaine. By his 5th season in the league, Michael had been to 3 drug clinics in 5 months and was eventually cut by the New Jersey Nets. From there, he briefly got sober but would relapse again, disappearing for a few days before calling his agent and pleading for help. Finally, it was at the time of his 3rd positive drug test for cocaine that Michael was banned from the NBA entirely. He would eventually be reinstated, but instead chose to play overseas, where he played basketball until he was 46, which of course is a remarkable feat. And from what I can tell through some research, Michael is sober today, which is awesome, and I only wish him the best. But I mean, you've gotta wonder, this was a guy who Larry Bird said was the best player on the planet. How good would he have been if drugs never entered his life? And so there you have it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If there's anything this video should teach you, it is that drugs are scary. They ruin people's lives. Even if you have everything going for you, a drug addiction can still take everything away. So steer clear. And on a lighter note, if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. We post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around 6 p.m. Eastern. Pretty sure this one's gonna be up a little later. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, and cue that music.